Okay, and welcome now to Chapter 8, one of the last two chapters of the book. We're going to do Chapters 8 and 11. But first, Chapter 8. So this is cloud computing and the Internet of Things. So cloud computing is going to allow access to state-of-the-art technology at really just a small portion of the cost of ownership, without the lengthy delays that occur that organizations need to capture a budget, stand up on-prem infrastructure. So equally, organizations are using the Internet of Things. And what that's going to do is help us capture and analyze streams of data. So there'll be the sensor data to detect patterns and anomalies. And not after the fact, but while they're occurring, we'll figure out these anomalies and have a considerable impact on improving or satisfying an event. Now, these are our usual objectives, so you can pause if you want to go through them. They're also in the book itself for you to review. Now, as an introduction, right, you pay what you get for, right? And so if you do go to cloud computing, you want to use a reputable cloud company such as GCP, that's Google Cloud Platform, which, for example, is going to encrypt automatically your data at rest. Of course, you'll also want to encrypt your data in transit along the way. So many users believe their data is safer on their own servers. That might be the case, but it probably does not provide your company the flexibility it needs in the modern world in order to compete. So very secure, again, with a reputable company. Now, a couple of definitions to know. One is e-discovery. This involves identifying, collecting, and producing information from email that you've archived and other documents in cloud storage and other collaboration tools. Virtualization is a tool that allows users access to their desktop operating system, but it's hosted in the cloud on a centralized server. You're really only using your desktop in front of you to access a virtual desktop in the cloud, and that actually secures their data and makes sure clients are on your network in the cloud, so you know who they are and what they are doing. Okay. And so basically, why learn about cloud computing in the Internet of Things? Well, in the end, it's the world we live in. It's a world of quality control. It's a world of convenience. It's a world of instant updates and corrections, right? We actually created it because we demanded it, and that's how we got here along the way. Now, with cloud computing, this is an environment where software and storage are provided as an internet service, right? And we access it by our web browser, which we talked about in chapter 7 last week, right? And so cloud computing can be deployed in several different ways. We'll talk next about public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid clouds, though there are also a few other options out there like multi-cloud, but I'm not planning on touching on those. So from a public cloud computing, the service provider like Google owns and manages the infrastructure with the cloud user, right, being a tenant, right? So your business would be a tenant on Google Cloud, and you're using their public cloud, and you're going to access slices of shared hardware over the internet. That's partly what cuts your costs. So the Google can provide increased amounts of computing, increasing network, increasing storage capacity at a fraction of the cost. That's the advantage there. And so some of the other benefits, I just mentioned reduced costs, but there's also, your company can avoid large upfront infrastructure investments, which we call CapEx, capital expenditures, which are largely unknown right? It's flexible in its computing capacity. It's scalable. It's elastic. When I say elastic, what I mean is it will automatically expand and contract. So you're only paying for what you're actually using. Uh, it'll also provide redundancy for failover and for disaster recovery along the way. Really pretty exciting. The public cloud can come in various forms. Infrastructure as a service is the most common, and it's what makes a cloud provider. The basic element is that they can provide infrastructure as a service. And so they are going to provide the equipment and the IT team and the data storage and the data processing. Now, if you choose to purchase platform as a service, you, the user, are going to be given the computing platform. Usually that includes the operating system, the database, and a web server. Now, if you're going to operate with software as a service, you're basically going to upload your software to the cloud environment and let them manage it. Software as a service. But infrastructure as a service is the overarching platform approach that is most common. Now, you can see here in public cloud computing that there are cloud users, like all of us on a smartphone, a tablet, a desktop, and we connect to cloud computing services like GCP, and our company uses infrastructure as a service, right? So Google provides our email, it provides our servers, it provides our support. It's a shared responsibility model. As an information systems manager, you'd want to review with your company the cloud provider's shared responsibility model. Ask for that, and you'll have a good understanding. Basically, what you configure, you own. That's the bottom line rule. So if Google configures it, Google's responsible for it. If you configure it like your software in software as a service and you provide it to them, you are responsible for the software, but they are responsible for the rest, right? If you configure it, then you are responsible for it, is really how that works. Now, okay, I've already touched on that. Let's see. Yeah, there can be issues with cloud computing services. Some have complex pricing arrangements. I find Google does not. Google actually will let the prices go down. In fact, Google will help you manage your costs with the various features it offers. There are variations in performance over time. I don't find that with a reputable company, a cloud provider, and that's why I mentioned that up front. Inadequate data security is sometimes a concern. Again, I do not find that at all. Everything Google is doing, and I'm very familiar with them, is high end, okay? And you're not locked in with Google. You could leave any time. There is also, besides public computing, private computing. So the private cloud is a single tenant cloud. You get your own cloud. And organizations often do this because of concerns the data won't be secure in a public cloud. Though I will be honest, my company is in a public cloud and its security is industry standard, leading industry standard. So, but sometimes your private cloud, a company wants to have its own cloud infrastructure, is what I'm talking about. Not associated with any other company. And so that private cloud could be built on premises, or you could use a service provider to give you your own private cloud. Okay, another option then is hybrid cloud computing. And this is really a mix between the private and public clouds integrated over your own private network. Is how that would work. There are further variations. I mentioned multi-cloud. So say you're using two cloud service providers like AWS and Google or GCP, right? Then that would be called multi-cloud computing. Just something further to consider. This was my graph of the hybrid cloud computing, and you can see it's a shared between on-prem or private cloud and your public cloud. There is a hybrid activity going back and forth. Now I wanted to mention automatic computing. This is the ability of a system to manage itself and adapt to changes over the computing environment, to your own business policies perhaps, or to other operating objectives. GCP allows for this, and it can be self-configuring, self-healing, self-optimizing, self-protecting. It's really kind of neat. I think I posted a link online about that. Now, from a quiz perspective, I like to touch on a few things and just make sure we're all feeling the success that we deserve as we learn these topics. So I will offer that a computing environment where software and storage are provided as an internet service and it's accessed through a web browser is referred to as cloud computing. Now, I will also offer to you that the platform as a service is an approach that provides with computing platform, typically including the operating system, the programming language, the execution environment, the database, and the web server. And that an infrastructure as a service, or IaaS, is an information system strategy that's going to involve outsourcing the equipment and support, the IT teams, etc., including servers, storage devices, and networking components. Okay, I am going to pause there. We'll come back and finish up this week with the Internet of Things.